Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate Weitzer, still in Chicago. We are taking a look at Monday's NBA slate here, 7 games to choose from after a pretty fun Sunday where we saw all 5 games go over, a ton of points scored on Christmas. Make sure to like and subscribe to that page. We are coming at you with a couple game videos today and our player props. In this one, taking a look at Indy and New Orleans, a pretty fun offensive matchup that we are seeing a very high total for. Break that one down for you guys. Also want you to head to thelines.com. That's where we have our great written content for you guys all season long, and our odds finder tool. You can use that to make sure you're getting the best odds out there, best juice back from all those U.S. sports books. Nate, let's go ahead and jump into this 7-game slate tonight and then talk Pacers and Pelicans.
Yeah, it starts with the Clippers, who are -6 at Detroit, but beware, that's a back-to-back situation for the Clips. They're at OKC tomorrow, so who knows who they might rest on the front end here against maybe the worst team in the league. Nets are +2 at Cavs. We break that game down for you as well in a separate video. Wolves are +3 at Miami, who are listing everybody important as questionable. Once again, can't trust anything Eric Spoelstra and the staff put up. Rockets are +8 at the Bulls. And then the Pacers have suddenly dropped to +3.5 with news that Zion is doubtful to return after 4 days off with conditioning issues. I mean, I don't know how you don't have your conditioning ready after 4 days. That's just sketchy. The game I like as well here, Jazz -4.5 at the Spurs. Utah hasn't played also in 4 days. They're very good on a rest advantage, very bad on the road, but the Spurs are back to their tanking bullshit. So I think Utah should be able to handle that one. And then the Hornets +6 at the Blazers with the highest total of the night up at 238. So huge line movement with this early news on Zion. The total had been bet up from 229 to 236. Hopefully, if you guys were watching that, that's where you grab the under. And now it's at 234, probably going to keep dropping. And I think the spread might keep dropping as well for the Pels, in which case I'm on it. I'm on the home team. Like, I mean, they've played plenty of games without Zion. And the Pacers are, while they've had a nice run here, beating 2 Eastern Conference juggernauts, if you will, in Boston and Miami, I don't think that they're ready yet to go into NOLA to beat one of these one of its teams meshing at the top of the Western Conference, flavor of the week, best team in the West. That needs to get right after their little slide here. And the biggest reason is CJ McCollum, who I was going to lead player props with, even if Zion was playing, because he's cooking again. He came into the season a little bit out of shape, was not cooking early when these teams met, and Indy actually pulled out the win. But right now, he should be a problem for this Pacers defense that struggles to guard the perimeter. And they've done much better, though, limiting points in the paint, limiting free throw attempts lately. Still 29th on the season, but in their last 3, giving up the third fewest free throw attempts per game. So a Pelicans team that I did lean towards under for sure at 236, because this is a Pelicans team that guards the three-point line extremely well. And that's basically why Indy's been playing so well recently. They're number 1 in three-pointers made and 3rd in percentage in their last 10 games, hitting 21 on Miami, which Miami is a really good team defending the three-point line too. I see that more as an outlier than as Indy doing something particularly well. I mean, Halliburton 8 for 10 or 10 for 16 from 3 in that game. Halliburton just unconscious right now, including against the Celtics, but that has to come down a little bit. I mean, just his efficiency from deep is not going to be there. You look at the Pacers on the road, 11-6 to the under this season, games averaging about 230, which is, pretty impressive in terms of total, but not going to get you to 235 where we're at right now. And the Pels, I mean, they haven't hit 230 since in 5 games now. You're certainly going to expect less pace, fewer free throw attempts, and less paid points without Zion if he's not out there. And for whatever reason, Pels have a slightly better defensive rating when Zion is playing. I don't really buy into that. I think their defense will be just fine without him here. And particularly against Indy, that's a perimeter-heavy team. that likes to shoot a ton of threes, and that's exactly what Willie Green's squad can do, is run you off the line and get you into situations, into shots you don't want to take. So I like the under. I like the home team here, though, depending where you get this line, because it's going to fluctuate a lot now that we know Zion might not play.
Yeah, if Zion, look, this is just a fun game to talk about no matter what. It kind of got a little bit more fun as it's been fluctuating like crazy. This thing opened at 229.5. I hit it already at that over because I was just like, come on, man. But 236.5 all the way up to that the next day. I wake up this morning and that's what it's at. And then literally as you're reading the lines to go over this game, we're like, wait a second, why did it just go from 6.5 to 4.5 in a matter of seconds for the Pacers here? And it's still dropping a bit. It's at 3 right now as we're talking, plus 3 for New Orleans. 234.5. Probably where it should have started, to be honest with you, is like 232, 233 is probably around where this total should have started. Last time they played, I believe that they reached 241, and that was a pretty much everybody playing scenario, including Brandon Ingram and Zion for the Pellies, everybody in there for Indy, including Miles Turner. But I believe in this Indiana style of play over the last, let's say 5 to 10 games, and more so on defense than offense. And that's why I believe that they can hang in these games the way that they have been. They haven't lost a game by more than 7 points in like 2 or 3 weeks, right? In their last roughly 7 games, they've been at least covering that amount in that time frame. They've gone 6-4 against the spread. And like you said, I'm a little bit weary of their success on offense because of the fact they've been so reliant on threes. That's going to be how they continue to play, but they've just been absolutely unconscious from deep as of late, which is how they beat those Celtics as well, who aren't really guarding the 3-point line. So there's a bit of a give and take there. But I think you love points because of the way that you initially loved points because of the way that the Pellies score and the way that the holes that Indy has on defense when you're giving up free throw attempts. I know they've sort of gotten better at that in the last 3 games that they've played, but over the course of the last 10, they're still like pretty much dead last in allowing free throw attempts to the other team. They've just been playing a few teams. I think C's aren't getting to the line that much. The Heat, they kind of are, but they weren't in that game, only getting 108 points and nobody driving for them. And like you said, I hate talking about the Heat this year because I don't even know who's playing, so it's not like we're talking about the same team ever. But we know what Indy's bringing, and I think that they've shown over the last 10 that they're going to be a little bit better in the paint. They're going in terms of on defense. They're going to continue to put up those threes, and if how well they do on offense is obviously super predicated on making 3-pointers. But how well they're playing on defense, I think, about middle of the pack is what you can expect from a Rick Carlisle team moving forward. The rebounding has gotten a bit better. They are dead last on the season in defensive rebounding percentage, but also something in the smaller sample size as of late, limiting opponents' second chance points, limiting offensive rebounds from the other team as well, back into the top 15. So I don't know that their offense is sustainable game after game the way that it is, and the way that the Pellies, they've actually been a little bit worse the last 3 games or so in guarding the 3-point line, but overall on the season, we know that how good they are. They're 3rd best in limiting their opponents' 3-pointers made and percentages in the top 5. So they have a legit, defense against the 3. It's been a little bit lackluster of late. I think there's something to the idea that they're a little bit worse on defense without Zion because he has been much better this season individually. But I don't know that, it is a 5-point difference in terms of their defensive rating, 5 points per 100%. Per 100 possessions better with Zion on the floor. I'm not making that as just total like causation or a correlation. I'm just saying that there's something there that at least shows that Zion's been bringing it a lot more on the defensive side of the ball, in allowing them to get those defensive rebounds. I would say offensive rebounds, to be honest. On defense, he's still not really defensively rebounding. So that's been the opportunity as well for a guy like Miles Turner. But I think between Turner and Valanciunas just beating the crap out of each other, which we'll continue to see, and as long as unless Miles Turner just stays out on the 3-point line, which I mean, he's fine being guarded by Joe Val out there. Also a pretty good individual defensive rating this season. So I do, you got to see what's going on with this total. Let's just be very clear. Like 234.5 right now. I'm still kind of leaning a bit to the under here, at closer to 230 is what I see this game without Zion in. I think the pace might go down a bit as well without Zion. We know that goes up. So I think everything just becomes a little bit more organized, and it's something that the Pacers want. They're not scoring fast break points either. They are limiting them. So I think there's an opportunity to sort of you take the overcorrection all the way up to like 236 and go under on that total. And I still kind of like the Pacers to be able to hang around this game. It's at +3 right now. I probably wouldn't take the Pacers any lower than that because, like you said, and we'll talk about CJ McCollum and player props, but CJ is on one right now, and he's definitely enough to carry this offense with a pretty good defense still in there with Herb Jones and Trey Murphy III healthy right now. That is all the time we have for you guys in this one. Make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Also head to thelines.com. Make sure you're staying on top of who is in and out of those lineups as a bunch of random news continues to come in on teams like these Pelicans, potentially some COVID things going on there, some restrictions. So definitely need to make sure you're seeing who's coming in and out of these lineups as these lines and totals are completely fluctuating. So continue to do so during this fun week in the NBA. And until we see you next, happy betting.